Have you ever felt like you've just dealt with one big challenge, finally got it sorted, only for a related issue to pop up, and you're left wondering, oh man, do I have to start all over again from square one? It's a really frustrating feeling, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you finally closed one chapter and then the next one immediately refers back to it and you're thinking, do I need a whole new book here or just like an updated index?
That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And, for federal workers navigating the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, OWCP, it can feel exactly like that sometimes. You get a claim accepted, finally, for an injury,
Right.
and then, boom, a new diagnosis comes along, and it seems clearly connected. So the big question is, do you really have to file a completely new claim? Is there like a smarter way?
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Our mission here is to give you a clear shortcut, a roadmap to understanding how you can add these new related conditions to your existing OWCP claim without starting from scratch. We want to cut through the jargon, really show you the process, and get to the core of what you need to know so this system works for you, not against you.
And we've got some solid sources for this. We're looking at OWCP's own official guidance, stuff from publications like the Postal Record from the NALC, and even details from clinics that actually specialize in helping federal workers with these claims. So we'll show you what's possible and, really importantly, how you can pursue it.
Yeah, the how is key.
So let's jump in. This idea of claim expansion. Why is it so powerful? I mean, most people know an OWCP claim, your CA-1, for a sudden injury, like a fall,
Right, dramatic.
or a CA-2 for something that develops over time, like, say, carpal tunnel.
Occupational disease, yeah.
That claim gets accepted for a specific condition. So what happens when something else pops up that feels connected?
Okay, so here's the really powerful part for you. If a new diagnosis is causally related, that's the key phrase to that original accepted work injury or exposure, you can actually request OWCP add it to your existing claim.
Ah, okay, so not a new claim.
Exactly. And this isn't just about saving paperwork, though that's nice too. It's strategic. It consolidates your medical history, helps prevent gaps in care, can simplify future benefits, and honestly, it often maintains a stronger causal link argument over time than trying to file a brand new claim for something related maybe years later.
That causal relationship rule really does sound like the absolute linchpin here. What are some common ways people maybe misunderstand that, or pitfalls they might run into?
Yeah, it's crucial to get this right. It's not just, oh, this happened around the same time. The new condition has to be directly connected.
Directly.
Yeah. So it could be caused by the very same work factors as the first injury, or, and this is common, it could be what's called a consequential injury.
Consequential. What's that mean exactly?
Think of it as a direct result, maybe a complication, or even just a natural progression from that first accepted injury. So maybe your accepted knee injury forces you to walk differently.
Right, you compensate.
Exactly. And then you develop hip problems because of that altered gait. That hip issue, that's a consequential injury directly stemming from the original knee problem. It's related. Okay, that makes sense. And what's really interesting looking at the sources is that OWCP's own acceptance letters often seem to, well, encourage this. They say something like, have your doctor explain how any new condition relates so it can be added.
They absolutely do. It's right there in black and white sometimes. It shows OWCP knows injuries can be dynamic, things evolve, complications arise, they expect it. They're basically giving you a heads up, provided, of course, the medical reasoning holds up.
So if they're kind of paving the way for expansion, when is a completely new claim the only option? Because sometimes it has to be, right?
Oh, definitely. That's a key distinction. You only need a new claim, a fresh CA-1 or CA-2, if the new condition is truly unrelated to the original injury.
Totally separate.
Totally separate. Or if it stems from completely different work incident. So, you have that accepted shoulder injury from lifting something.
And then 6 months later, totally unrelated, you trip over a cord at work and break your wrist. That broken wrist, that's a new incident, new claim.
Okay.
But if that shoulder injury later causes, say, nerve impingement down your arm, that's a classic expansion candidate.
Got it. Okay, let's unpack the how then. Step by step. How do you actually go about expanding your claim? Sounds like really good medical documentation is going to be the bedrock.
It is. It's the absolute foundation. Your treating physician has to evaluate the new condition, obviously. But just noting it down isn't enough. Not even close. They need to write a detailed narrative report. And this report has to specifically explain in clear medical terms the precise connection back to your original work injury or those accepted work exposures.
So not just a quick note.
Definitely not. No checkboxes. It needs to be comprehensive. Persuasive.
And what makes it persuasive for OWCP? What are those key ingredients that a report must have?
Okay, it absolutely must provide a well-rationalized medical opinion on causation. And that opinion can't just hang there. It needs solid support. We're talking objective findings.
Objective findings, like test results.
Exactly. MRI results, X-rays, maybe nerve conduction studies, detailed notes from the physical exam, things you can see and measure, plus a really thorough, documented patient history connecting the dots.
Okay.
And the doctor needs to state clearly in their medical opinion that this new diagnosis is either a direct result of the original work injury or that it was significantly aggravated or worsened by that accepted work condition.
Right. So once you have that killer report from your doctor, what's next? How do you get it in front of OWCP?
You send that report, along with any supporting test results, directly to OWCP. It's also a good idea to include a simple cover letter or even just a note that explicitly says you're requesting expansion of your claim to include this new condition.
Just spell it out.
Spell it out clearly. And here's a pro tip. Honestly, this saves so much potential delay. Make sure your OWCP claim number is on every single page you submit. Every page.
Every single page. Think of it as your unique identifier in their massive system. You can upload these documents through OWCP's eComp web portal. That's usually the fastest way.
Yeah.
Or you can mail them. And remember, there's no special OWCP form for an expansion request. It's your written request plus that strong medical evidence.
So it lands on the claims examiner's desk, digitally or physically. What are they looking for when they review it?
They are laser-focused on establishing that causal relationship we keep talking about.
Makes sense.
If your doctor's report and the evidence clearly and effectively demonstrate that connection, OWCP should issue a formal decision adding the diagnosis as an accepted condition under your claim.
And then what happens? Do you get notified?
Yep. You and your employing agency will typically get a letter that lists the updated accepted conditions for your claim, and once it's accepted, boom, treatment and any related compensation for that new condition are covered. Just like the original injury, it gets seamlessly integrated. Okay, but what if OWCP pushes back? Maybe they need more info. Or, worst case, they deny the expansion request.
Yeah.
What can you do then?
Great question. It's really important to respond quickly if OWCP sends what's called a development letter asking for more information or clarification.
Don't ignore it.
Absolutely not. Ideally, you work with your doctor right away to provide whatever they need, address those specific points they raised. And yes, if they do deny the expansion, you definitely have appeal rights.
Okay.
Things like requesting reconsideration or even a hearing. But honestly, putting in the effort up front to get that initial submission really thorough and well documented, that can significantly reduce the chances of getting denied in the first place. Saves a lot of time and stress.
That makes total sense. Prevention is better than cure, even with paperwork. All right, let's make this more concrete. Can we walk through some examples, maybe some hypothetical but realistic scenarios to see how this works in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at some common orthopedic examples. These are, medically and procedurally sound scenarios that illustrate the process.
Okay.
So first up, let's imagine a CA-1 traumatic knee injury. Say a federal employee slips on a wet floor at work. Ouch. OWCP accepts their claim initially for a right knee sprain.
Okay, simple sprain. But maybe they do PT, they rest, but the knee pain just lingers. It's not getting better like a simple sprain should. So the doctor orders an MRI.
Right, and surprise, the MRI reveals a torn meniscus, something that was missed in the initial ER visit right after the fall.
Ah, so it wasn't just a sprain.
Exactly. The connection here is pretty direct, right? The torn cartilage is almost certainly related to that original traumatic fall. In OWCP's own guidelines actually say, when pathology from the work injury is found, the claim should be expanded to include the new diagnosis.
So the doctor just needs to write that up.
Precisely. The treating physician writes a narrative report explaining that the meniscal tear very likely resulted from the same incident that caused the initially diagnosed sprain. Submits that with the MRI report.
And the benefit for the worker.
Huge benefit. With that evidence, OWCP adds torn meniscus, right knee, to the accepted conditions. Now, any necessary treatment, maybe arthroscopic surgery, more specialized physical therapy for the tear itself, it's all covered under that existing claim number.
Nice. No starting over.
No new claim needed, no fighting about whether the tear is work-related later. It's seamless.
Okay, example 2.
Let's take a CA-1 shoulder injury. Maybe an IRS agent lists a really heavy box of old files, feels a pop in their shoulder, claim accepted for left shoulder strain.
Okay, sounds familiar. But again, let's say despite therapy, the shoulder just isn't improving. Still painful, limited motion. So, MRI time again.
And this time, it shows a partial rotator cuff tear. Now, again, that tear was likely caused by that same lifting incident, or maybe it was just part of the initial trauma that wasn't fully diagnosed as just a strain.
Right. A strain sounds less severe than a tear.
It is. And this is where expansion becomes really critical for getting the right care long term. Remember how we said OWCP letters often mention this?
Yeah, about having the doctor explain new issues.
Exactly. So the doctor writes that detailed report clarifying the tear is a direct result of that workplace lifting incident, making sure to differentiate it from potential non-work degeneration, especially if the person's older.
And the power of getting that tear added.
It means OWCP officially expands the claim to include tear of rotator cuff left shoulder. Now, any necessary surgery, maybe injections, ongoing therapy specifically for the tear is covered under that original claim.
That seems crucial. Otherwise, you might be stuck with benefits just for a strain.
Precisely. If the claim only says strain, getting approval for, say, rotator cuff surgery can be a real battle later on. Expanding it ensures the accepted condition matches the actual diagnosis, securing proper care and benefits.
Okay, one more. A different type may be repetitive stress.
Good one. Let's consider a CA-2, an occupational disease claim. Imagine a longtime postal clerk. Years of repetitive sorting, keying. They develop right carpal tunnel syndrome. OWCP accepts that claim.
Makes sense. Classic occupational injury. But maybe, over time, the clerk starts getting more sort of diffuse pain in the wrist. Stiffness, not just the typical carpal tunnel symptoms.
Exactly. So they get evaluated, and the diagnosis is early osteoarthritis in the wrist joint itself. Now, the big question is, can arthritis be added to an existing repetitive stress claim like carpal tunnel?
Yeah, that seems less direct than the trauma examples.
It can seem that way, but yes, it can be added if that causal link is properly established.
How would that work?
Well, the doctor might form the opinion that the arthritis, while maybe having other contributing factors like age, is being significantly aggravated or accelerated by the very same repetitive work activities that cause the accepted carpal tunnel.
Ah, so the work activity is the common link.
Right. The doctor could cite medical literature suggesting chronic repetitive trauma can worsen or speed up osteoarthritis. So, they write a really comprehensive report. This one needs to be especially well rationalized, drawing that clear line between the accepted carpal tunnel, the repetitive work duties, and this newly diagnosed wrist arthritis.
So it hinges on that strong medical rationale again.
Absolutely. With that well-reasoned medical opinion connecting the dots, OWCP can add osteoarthritis of right wrist to the accepted conditions. The employee wouldn't need to file a whole new separate CA-2 just for the arthritis.
And they could get treatment covered for the arthritis under the original claim.
Yes. Medications, maybe injections, bracing, therapy, whatever's medically necessary for the accepted wrist arthritis would now be covered under that single expanded OWCP claim. It really shows how vital that doctor's narrative bridge is.
Wow. Okay. These examples really highlight the power, but also, it's clear that pursuing claim expansion isn't necessarily simple. It sounds like there are definite nuances, potential complexities.
You're absolutely right. It's not always straightforward. And that's precisely why seeking out medical providers who aren't just good doctors, but who are specifically experienced with OWCP claims can make such a huge difference.
Why is that experience so important?
Because they understand the system. They know what OWCP claims examiners are looking for. They know the level of detail required in those narrative reports, the importance of objective findings, how to frame the causation argument effectively. They understand the Department of Labor's specific requirements.
So for you, the listener, if you're a federal worker, maybe you've got a new orthopedic issue popping up and you think it might be related to an existing accepted OWCP claim. It's worth realizing that not all clinics approach this the same way.
That's exactly right. Some practices, particularly those that focus on occupational medicine or specifically on federal employees, are much more attuned to these complexities.
Do you have an example?
Sure. For instance, there are clinics like Restore Muscle and Joint. They have offices in Kansas City and St. Louis, Missouri. They specifically structure their services to support federal employees through this exact process.
How so?
Well, their team is deeply familiar with DOL requirements. They actively help patients with the necessary forms. They know how to write those crucial, detailed medical narratives we've been talking about, and they help gather and submit the evidence needed to get claims not just accepted initially, but also expanded when necessary.
So having that kind of specialized backup can really improve your odds.
Significantly. It can make a real difference in whether OWCP approves that additional diagnosis smoothly, keeping your treatment authorized and your benefits flowing without the headaches and potential delays of trying to navigate all that complexity on your own.
Okay. So we've just done a pretty deep dive into this OWCP claim expansion process. And I think it's really clear that for federal workers dealing with injuries, understanding how to strategically expand an existing claim, which is a really powerful tool.
It truly is. It ensures that all the related conditions get covered.
Right. Which means, ultimately, less administrative hassle for you, fewer potential gaps in your medical coverage, and just more seamless access to the full range of care you actually need.
Yeah. And fundamentally, this whole process really hinges on connecting the dots, doesn't it? Between that initial event or exposure and then the things that develop later on.
That's a great point.
So maybe as you reflect on this, think about how often seemingly new problems we face, maybe in health, maybe at work, maybe even just in daily life, are actually ripple effects, progressions or consequences of some original event or situation.
That's a fascinating thought. What existing situations, maybe in your own life, outside of work injuries even, might benefit from looking a bit deeper for those connections? Those often hidden links back to an origin point.
It's something to ponder.
We really hope this deep dive helps you feel more informed, more empowered if you're navigating the OWCP system. Keep asking those questions. Keep digging for those crucial connections. And remember, knowledge really is power in these situations.